Good evening to you all, and thank you very much for joining us here on Rwanda Television tonight. We do hope you had yourselves a very productive Tuesday. Now, as we start off our bulletin, here's a sneak peek at the headlines. The Ministry of Trade and Industry emphasized its commitment to expediting the acquisition of essential documents for investors to operate within industrial zones. The Chief of Staff of the People's National Army of Algeria, Army General Said Chanegriha, points out that they are ready to continue to strengthen relations with Rwanda. And we are glad to have your company tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. Our bringing to you the news is Martina Abera. Let us kick things off by letting you know that the Ministry of Trade and Industry emphasized its commitment to expediting the acquisition of essential documents for investors to operate within industrial zones. This comes after MPs echoed issues hindering investment, including the delay in processing documents and inadequate infrastructure. Sam Kalisa has more.
Following a parliamentary tours to various industrial zones around the country, last year 2023, MPs highlighted issues that still hinder the advancement of Rwanda's industrial sector, including the delay in processing required documents as well as inadequate infrastructure. In Nyabihu district, an industry stopped operation because it was later found out that it carries out the same activities as the one in Musanze district, yet the regions are close to each other. Also, more than 295 million Rwandan francs have been invested in the Nyabihu industrial area. I want to ask the minister if there are measures in place to make sure that the capacity is not being put to waste. We noticed an issue of delay in operation permits. For example, in Nyagatare, people were interested to invest, but they cannot easily be assisted in the process. MPs have raised another concern, highlighting that several industries in which the government has invested or holds shares are failing to generate anticipated profits. Some industries in which the government holds shares are not bringing anticipated profits, especially due to lack of equipment. For example, the Southern Province Investment Corporation. There are also others that lack basic raw materials. We want to know the measures in place to address those challenges. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Ngabitsinze Jean Chrysostome, indicated that these issues are being taken into account and appropriate measures are already in place to address them. When people gather in the National Mushyikirano Council and the President of the Republic issues an order, we follow through. However, it is above one ministry, as other agencies are involved in this particular matter. That is why I cannot predict the time frame in which those issues will be addressed. Nevertheless, we hope that a solution will be found in the near future. Meanwhile, another issue arises regarding the compensation provided to residents of the land where industrial sites are either currently located or planned for construction. For example, the expansion of the Kigali Special Economic Zone necessitates 250 billion Rwandan francs.
Thank you, Kalisa, for that report. Now, the Chief of Staff of the People's National Army of Algeria, Army General Said Chanegriha, points out that they are ready to continue to strengthen relations with Rwanda and to cooperate in dealing with various problems facing the African continent. He reiterated this after discussions held with the leadership of the Ministry of Defense of Rwanda on Tuesday. Olive Nete has more.
At the headquarters of the Rwanda Defense Force, the Chief of Staff of the People's National Army of Algeria, Army General Said Chanegriha, along his delegation, were welcomed by his counterpart, General Mubarak Muganga, the Chief of Defense Staff of Rwanda. Army General Said Chanegriha held talks with his counterpart and also with the Minister of Defense, Honorable Juvenal Marizamunda. He noted that the discussions they had focused on strengthening military relations between the two countries and also on various aspects of cooperation in order to deal with various problems facing the African continent.
Je suis très content de me trouver dans un pays frère, ami, le Rwanda.
I am happy to be here in our brotherly country, Rwanda. a country that we have had relations since our independence. And through this visit, our relations will be strengthened even more. In discussions held with the Minister of Defense, as well as with the Chief of Defense Staff, we explored various aspects into which we can strengthen our collaboration in addressing upcoming challenges, considering the geopolitical and geostrategic landscape affecting Africa and our neighboring regions.
On Tuesday morning, he visited the Kigali Genocide Memorial, where he first laid wreaths and paid tribute to the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. After, he visited different parts of the memorial and was told about the tragic history that Rwanda went through. He pointed out that Rwandans should continue to be united and learn from the bad history they have gone through.
L'Algérie, bien entendu, comme le Rwanda a souffert de beaucoup de massacres.
Algeria, similarly to Rwanda, also faced atrocities done by various occupants, and we also faced terrorism acts, blind terrorism. What I would recommend to our brothers of Rwanda is to be united and face the past. They should not forget the past. Instead, they should learn from the past and be united as Rwandans.
Doit unir tout le peuple rwandais.
The Chief of Staff of the People's National Army of Algeria and his delegation also visited the Campaign Against Genocide Museum and was explained about the liberation struggle of Rwanda. Army General Said Chanegriha is visiting Rwanda for the first time, and his visit is expected to last 2 days. In September 2022, the Chief of Defense Staff of the Rwanda Defense Force also visited Algeria.
Now moving on Tuesday, Ambassador Fatou Harerimana, High Commissioner of Rwanda to Seychelles, with residence in Dar es Salaam, presented her letters of credence to His Excellency Wavel Ramkalawan, President of the Republic of Seychelles. President Ramkalawan congratulated the new High Commissioner and underlined that her accreditation reflects the strong commitment between Seychelles and Rwanda to further cement their bilateral relations and elevate cooperation to new heights. In this respect, the meeting that followed was an opportunity for the head of state and the newly accredited High Commissioner to discuss the ongoing Memorandum of Understanding signed between Rwanda and Seychelles during the state visit of the President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, to Seychelles in June 2023. The MOU includes agreements in various sectors such as health, agriculture, tourism, investment, defense, and security, and visa waiver between the two countries. Now, the economic experts believe that Rwanda is positioned well among African countries and will not be burdened by a trade deficit. This assessment is based on the country's efforts to boost exports to the international market and its healthy foreign exchange reserves, which are at a promising level. Adam Squizera has more.
Figures from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning revealed that Rwanda's export saw a 19% increase between January and November 2023 compared to the corresponding period in 2022. Several manufacturers of cleaning, cooking equipment, and mineral processing have found an increase in their exports.
Industry. It
is now in a good position here at Roba Industries, comparing to the way it was before. In general, it's performing very well. If it continues like this, Rwanda's export will be great on the African continent, particularly in East Africa. The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Dr. Uzien Ndagijimana, shows that despite the increase in exports and imports, the deficit recently rose to 14.4% in 2023.
Mu bijyanye n'ubucuruzi mpuzamahanga ibyo tweza mu mahanga byongereyeho 19%.
In terms of international trade, our export revenues increased to 19%, equivalent to $1.7 billion in January and December 2022, and it hit to $2 million in January and December 2023, while exports grew from $3.7 million to $4.3 million. The trade deficit also grew to 14.4%, equivalent to $2.2 million from $1.9 million. Domestic investment rose to $2 million in 2023, up from $1.6 billion in 2022. Economist François Kanimba suggests that this gap is not cause for a concern since there are ways to reduce it. Yes, there is trade deficit, but there are also ways to recover and bridge the gap, because we haven't reached to that alert extent. That's why I found that we are among of the African countries that are performing very well. Another strategy to reduce this gap is by importing value-added products and re-export it to the markets of outside the country. Last year, these products were valued at $156 million in the first quarter and $172 million in the third quarter. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
The government of Rwanda has announced that a center of excellence to scale up the country's emergency preparedness in managing highly infectious diseases is under construction at Masaka Medical Hub and is set to be completed by the end of 2024. Sam Kalisa with more.
This was disclosed by the Minister of Health, Dr. Sabin Nsanzimana, together with officials from the Rwanda Biomedical Center during a session with the Senate's Committee on Social Affairs and Human Rights. The session was looking at Rwanda's efforts to prevent and treat epidemics. He told senators that the country needs such a center where it can send people who suffer from highly infectious diseases to be treated, at the same time ensuring that health workers attending to them have technology that protects them from contracting such diseases. The project is being implemented by the government of Rwanda in partnership with Germany and modeled after a similar center in Germany. And its budget is estimated at €5 million, approximately 6.8 billion Rwandan francs. For the country to be effective in countering epidemics, Minister Nsanzimana noted that providing information in a timely manner is crucial. This is to inform everyone that they can transmit an epidemic, especially those who frequently travel to different parts of the world for business, tourism, and more. We have seen cases of people who travel to various regions, let's say Asia, and when they get back, they fall sick from an unknown disease, later to find out that it is a new virus that have never been in Rwanda before. People who travel frequently should be very careful. Even in some cases, a person might cross to a neighboring country illegally and come back sick and doesn't report it. This might cause problems as well. People should always provide information on diseases and other health conditions. Regarding COVID-19, it has been 2 years without a victim from the pandemic. However, 272 people are being monitored in different hospitals around the country to assess the impact of the pandemic on their lives. The Minister of Health further noted that COVID-19 left an important lesson to the country's health system. When we get a strange message, especially on a certain health condition, let's say in a school, hospital, or at a wedding, we respond very quickly, because we have seen that it might result into a serious epidemic, and we learned that the hard way. It has also changed the way individuals respond. When an emergency arises, people respond very fast. Members of the Senate's Committee on Social Affairs and Human Rights highlighted some of the measures that should be taken to fight epidemics. Going to different markets, hand-washing facilities have been destroyed. No one cares anymore, yet they costed a lot of money. And going to religious places, you find that people are back to hugging and physical contact, which had reduced. We need to give it due diligence. The Center of Excellence will serve at different functions, including isolation, treatment, and training at a regional level, as it is the first isolation of its kind in the East African community. It will have the capacity of 10 single-patient rooms complying with intensive care unit standards, with a possibility to expand the facility if need be. The facility adds to the existing center based in Bugesera District, Eastern Province, the Nyamata Emerging Infectious Diseases. Sam Kalisa, Rwanda Television News.
Thank you, Sam, for that report. The Development Bank of Rwanda, BRD, has signed an agreement with an electric mobility through the Ireme Invest program in line with the nation's commitment to a sustainable and climate-resilient future. We have more on this report. The Development Bank of Rwanda, BRD, has signed a contract with PREV, which sells electric vehicles. It is an agreement that both parties agree will result in the protection and preservation of the environment and the prevention of greenhouse gas emissions. The CEO of PREV Rwanda, Kabanda Donald, has also signed the agreement, saying they listened to the advice given by the government of Rwanda, asking the private sector to invest in protecting the environment, and therefore they are going to provide Rwandans with modern cars through an agreement with BRD.
I chose to work with BRD because it's a development bank of Rwanda. It's a bank that is supporting several initiatives, including green business initiatives, and we have approached them because they have started Ireme Invest, which is at a low interest rate, and this is an opportunity for us to expand our business. They will definitely have to go through the bank channels, the accessing loans, but those ones who are able to have their own money without going through the bank, the vehicles are available at our stores. They could come and visit us and we could go into the contract of buying some vehicles for them.
The CEO of BRD, Kameta Sainzoga, says that through the Ireme Invest Fund for Environmental Protection, the PREV Rwanda company being the first to provide a promising step toward achieving a sustainable and climate-resilient future. BRD also encourages others in the private sector to enter into agreements with it in order to protect the interests of the people.
Today is a very exciting day. It's the first, as you know, we've been spending a lot of time raising money externally. We've raised up to $100 and $150 million for the green economy, but specifically for the private sector. As you know, the government has made a commitment to be carbon neutral by 2050. The missing part was the private sector. So today, the partnership that we have with the Rwanda Green Fund and BRD allows us to channel this money to the private sector to support the green economy. Today we are celebrating smart mobility, but any entrepreneur that has a good business that is commercially viable in smart agriculture, in renewable energy, in green buildings, any initiative that is directly related to the green economy is most welcome. So today we celebrate that this Ireme Invest is accessible, it is real, and we're encouraging all the Rwandan-based investors in the green economy to come to us and to come to the Rwanda Green Fund.
BRD also says that in order to continue increasing projects that are profitable and protect the environment, it has found that partners at the international level have already invested more than $100 million in the Ireme Invest program. And on that note marks the end of our bulletin. On behalf of the news production team as well as the technical team, we would like to thank you for sticking with us on RTV News. My name is Martina Avera. Stay safe and have a great night.